Hello guys, welcome back to the revision session of UGC Net. You know very well, we are revising from UGC Net 2020-25. We are in paper 2, social work. Okay, so in that we were discussing unit 4, and that is social action. Okay, we are in second part, that is social action. And in this particular lecture or video, we will discuss the models of social action. We can alternatively call this as theories of social action also. Right? You remember this is the toughest part in this topic, that is in social action. It is very important also because whenever you are talking about theory, it is always important in social. Okay. Right. So in this, we are going to study certain theories of social action. Right. Right. So models of social action or theories of social action. Right. Models of social action or theories of social action. You see, in the field of social work, the models of social action represent the theoretical and practical frameworks through which practitioners seek to bring about social transformation. So you can say it is the theoretical basis on which the practitioners, social work practitioners, take the ideas from and they will try to implement them or they will try to act upon them. That is the importance of social theories of social action or models of social action. Okay. So what are these? They are a theoretical basis and they are also practical frameworks through which the practitioners of social work seek to bring in social transformation or social change. Okay, right. These models guide how oppressed groups are mobilized and how consciousness is developed and how action is undertaken for justice and rights. Okay, that is what the models are about. Okay. After that, first we will see the conscientization model of Paulo Freire or Paulo Freire. You see, this is the French name. This person is a French philosopher. So name's pronunciation is kind of little bit different, but however you try to follow that. Okay. First model or first theory is conscientization model given by Paulo Freire. Okay. Originator is Paulo Freire. He's a Brazilian educator and a philosopher. I'm sorry, I told France. It's not. It's Brazilian educational philosopher. What is the core idea of this theory? If you see the concept of conscientization. Okay. So in Portuguese, it has a different pronunciation, but we are taking the English equivalent of it. The concept of conscientization, it refers to the process by which individuals develop a critical awareness of their social reality and take action against the oppressive elements of that reality. Okay, so people or individuals develop a critical awareness of their society and they will take action against the oppressive elements of that particular society, of that reality. Okay, so this is the conscientization model given by Paulo Freire. Right? Right. Next one. If you see the key components of this theory is, if you see the dialogical method, okay, you see education through dialogue rather than passive instruction. This is the method followed by this theory. And praxis, if you see the praxis, it focuses on reflection and action upon the world in order to transform it. Okay, then it also focuses on problem posing education. Okay, right. These are the key. This is the third component, problem posing education. What it is it opposes banking model where learners are passive recipients. It focuses on active learning or active participation in the learning process or in the education process. These are the three important components of conscientization theory. What are those? First one is dialogical method, second one is praxis, and third one is problem-based education. Okay, though you are not 100% clear about the meaning of these words, just remember the words, that these words belong to this particular theory. That is more than sufficient from the point of view of examination. Right? Then what is the relevance of this theory in the social work? You see, it is used in adult education, community development, and rights-based advocacy. Right? Then after that, apart from that, it encourages marginalized populations to question inequality and participate in democratic action. This is what we are not. This is what we are talking about in the governance process also. Rights-based approach, democratic participation. Okay. The people should actively participate in the governance process or development process. Okay, so it has lot of relevance in the present day context. Okay, then after that we will see that was the model, one important model we have studied. Now we will come to the another important area in social action, that is role of ideology in social action. How important ideology is in social action. Okay, right. You see, ideology provides the philosophical and moral foundation upon which the social action is constructed. So, ideology is a moral and a philosophical foundation for social action. Okay, it defines ideology defines what is unjust, who is responsible, what alternatives are there, or what are the alternatives, and what means are justified to achieve the goals. All these essentials elements will be provided by the ideology, based on which we can build the social. Okay. Okay. So we will see some common ideological differences that we have seen over the past in the area of social action. First and foremost important philosophy or ideology is Gandhian ideology with respect to India also, and the world also has adopted the Gandhian ideology. Peaceful, okay, non-confrontational ideology, right? The ideology emphasizes on non-violence, ahimsa, truth, that is satya, and self-reliance, that is self-reliance, swadeshi, and moral persuasion. Okay, so on these things, the Gandhian ideology is, these are the key features of Gandhian ideology. Then another very famous personality is there, Karl Marx, and his ideology, Marxist ideology. What are the key elements of this ideology? Class struggle, okay, workers versus the owners of the industries or owners of the companies, proletariat versus bourgeoisie. That is how it was put as. Then economic justice, another question is economic justice, and revolution, okay, social revolution, where the workers finally will revolt and overthrow the government and the bourgeoisie, and the government or power led by the workers will arise. Okay. Another important ideology that we have seen in 1950s, 1960s until 1970s, feminist ideology. Right. What are the key elements of this ideology? They focus or they emphasize on gender equality between men and women. Then intersectionality. Okay. After that, personal as political. Okay. These are the key elements of feminist ideology. After that, we have seen environmentalism also. Environmental movements are also there. So environmental ideology, they emphasize on ecological balance, rights of future generations, protecting the environment, etc. Okay, you see, these are some of the famous ideologies that are there for social action. Okay, based on each of these ideologies, we have seen several social movements in our country also and throughout the world also. Okay. if you have to understand the ideology, you see ideology in social action not only determines objectives and strategies of the social action, but also shapes the identity and the cohesion of the movement. That is why ideology is very, very important. Okay. Right. So now we will see one of the radical ideologists, that is Saul Alinsky, the radical community organizer. Okay, his ideology is called as radical communism. Okay, so we will see the key word of Paul Alinsky is, or Saul Alinsky is, rules of radicals. Right. You see, Saul Alinsky was a pioneering figure in grassroots community organizing in the United States of America. His method was pragmatic, okay, means realistic and strategic, and sometimes confrontational model. That is why his model is also called as confrontational method of social action. Okay, so you remember this word with respect to Saul Alinsky, the confrontational method or confrontational philosophy. Right. Core principles of this ideology are: first one is empowerment of the poor to fight for their rights. This is the first key element or core principle of his ideology. Second one is use of creative tactics to challenge the power. For example, demonstrations against certain things or certain people. Okay, then media stunts, etc. So use of creative tactics. Then third core principle is power analysis. Okay, what is the meaning of power analysis? It is identifying the sources of power and exploiting pressure points in that power. Okay, then after that, fourth core principle is emphasis on local leadership and organizing. So instead of leader coming from outside of the society or community, if the leader emerges from within the community, then the leadership will be more effective from point of view of organization, etc., bringing in the desirable change in the society. So in this way, these are the core principles of Saul Alinsky's model. So what is the relevance of this ideology in India? You see, Alinsky's approach has inspired urban slum movements, workers' unions, and anti-eviction protests using confrontational advocacy. Okay, so this is how Saul Alinsky's method or model is relevant in India. After that, you have another ideology or another theology, that is libertarian or liberation theology. Okay. So what is the context of this liberation theology? You see, context, you will understand this theory in the context of Latin America, 1960s onwards. Key figures who are involved in this theology are Gustavo Gutierrez, then Leonardo Bo. Okay, so these are the key figures associated with the liberation theory or theology. What is the theory? You see, it is a Christian theological movement that interprets the teachings of Jesus Christ in terms of liberation from unjust economic, political, or social conditions. Okay, so this is what liberation theory is. The core themes of this theory, if you have to understand, first one is preferential option for the poor. Preferential option for the poor. This is the first core principle or core theme. Then after that, second one is salvation is not just spiritual. Salvation is not just spiritual, but also material and social. Third core theme is it encourages activism, grassroots organizing, and resistance to unjust authority. Okay. Then finally, the liberation theory blends religious faith with the political activism and aligns closely with radical social work approaches. Okay. So all these are the four themes of liberation theory or theology. What is the relevance of this theory in social work? This theory provides a moral and ethical foundation for working with oppressed groups in the society or in community. Okay. After that, it encourages faith-based organizations, okay, to move beyond charity to social justice advocacy. Earlier, faith-based organizations like Christian associations, etc., they were focusing on charity. So this movement or theology helps these organizations to move from or move beyond charity to social justice advocacy. Right. Now, for all these theories until now we have studied or theologies, we will do a comparative analysis. Okay, for 4 to 5 theories until now we have studied. So first we will see the theory given by theory, that is conscientization theory. What is the philosophical base of this theory? It is critical pedagogy. Okay, it is something related to education, adult education, advocating a radical method of education where the learners actively question everything. In that way, they will learn instead of simply sitting and learning passively. Okay. And the methodology used here is, of course, dialogue will be there. Then only active education will, we will realize active education. Dialogue is there. Education is there. Access is there. Focus is on awareness and empowerment, right? Then ideological models, several ideological models we have seen. You see philosophical base for these ideological models are various bases are there, like Gandhian model, Marxist model, etc. we have seen, just now we have studied. What is the methodology adopted here? It is action is generally based on the worldview of that field. Like if you take Gandhian ideology, it will be a peaceful ideology based on non-violence, ahimsa, okay, satyagraha, that is truth, etc. When you take Marxist approach, it is dependent on class struggle, workers, uniting against the capitalist class or bourgeois class, and doing this class struggle or realizing this class struggle. Okay. So what is the focus of these ideological models? They want to bring a structural change in the society so that all people may realize, or people may after that people are looked equally, equity or social justice is achieved in the society. So how it is being achieved through the change in social structures, okay, by bringing in the structural change in the society. Right. After that, we will see the Saul Alinsky's radical model, that is confrontational model. Also, we will call it as. What is the philosophical basis for this one? Pragmatic. The philosophical basis is pragmatic and power-centric. Methodology used here is community organization on radical lines, then strategic protests, etc. Analyzing power, looking for weak points in the power structures and utilizing those power weaknesses in the power structures, etc. Right. What is the final goal or focus of this approach or model is redistribution of power. Okay, so this philosophy or theory or model believes that power is now unequally distributed, power is captured by some sections of the society. So this method advocates for redistribution of power so that everybody is exercising the reasonable amount of power, which brings in social justice in the society. Right. Then you see liberation theory, just now we have studied. Philosophical basis is faith based. Okay, so it is reinterpretation of the what should I say, the principles given by Jesus Christ, reinterpreting that ideals given by Jesus Christ, so that we can realize the social justice, rights of the poorer sections of the society are realized. Okay. What is the methodology utilized here? It is activism with the spiritual foundation, and the focus areas are moral liberation and social justice. This is the focus area of this liberation theory. So if you have to conclude this session, you see models of social action, they provide a theoretical compass, means direction, they will give us the direction, and practical toolkit, okay, for social workers and activists. So they will give the theoretical basis also, and they will give us the tools also through which we can take the social action. Okay, right. So whether it is through the education or ideology or organizing or faith, these models aim to challenge injustice, empower. They want to challenge the injustice. They want to empower the communities, and they want to create, or they aim for creating equitable social structures. Okay, and these theories or models underline the idea that social change is not incidental. Okay, it must be intentional. Only through intention and action you will bring in the social change. Otherwise, simply if you are sitting and waiting, social change will not happen. Okay, so it must be intentional, it must be strategic, and it shall be rooted in collective consciousness of the people. Okay, then only you will realize the social change. Right. So this is what you have to learn in this video. Okay, small one but very very important one from the point of view of social action. Okay, so this is it for today. In the next video or in the next session, we will understand some more aspects of social action. Until then, have a good time. Right. See you.